are you feeling? Who do I have? Robin, Justin, ABC. Good now, loves. Who else has popped in? Jen, I love that view. Give me more trees. Good now, John, a.k.a. Jack Wood. I'd love to know the story. Good now, Shannon and Puppy. Who else has popped in? Diane. Good now, love. Good now, Jess, Jamie, Indy. Good now, love, soul. Shauna. Good now. Hey now. Good now, Hale. So good to see you, beautifuls. Good now, Martin. Good now. Hazy, Michigan. Yeah, it's been... I actually just noticed yesterday. The day before was good, but yesterday and today, it's quite hazy. Let's see. Good now, book lovers. Good now, Miss Robin. Good now, Nicole. Oh, good now from rainy Venice, Cali. Feeling fabulous. So glad to be connected here. Likewise, Pam. I'm glad you're connected as well. Cali, yep. She arrived yesterday, right, Pam? Yup. Let's give it a couple of minutes. Then we'll hop into today's session. Good now, Wendy. What am I looking at? Is it a puppy or kitty? The picture's kind of small. Either way, good now to Wendy and the fur baby. Iris, good now, love. Who else has popped in? Hey, good now. Matt's on your side of the world, where you are, Pam. He's in Cali somewhere. Man, he was up to 11 o'clock his time, y'all's time. I was probably on my second set of REM sleep by then. Second, third, fourth. Oh man. Anyone new here? You're like, what are we doing? I should probably plug this guy in. If you are new here, we are reading the book Seed of the Soul. Awesome. And we're just on chapter 2, so you haven't missed much. If you did not have the opportunity to go through chapter 1, I do have a replay on the tube. This book is about just kind of shifting paradigms or offering different ways of seeing things, experiencing life, experiencing yourself as a person, multi-sensory ideally. There's less suffering in a multi-sensory perspective or way of being than there is in a 5-sensory, as he calls it. First time with you and love, Gary Zukav. Awesome. Good now, Belinda. Oops. Yeah, good now, Michelle. I accidentally started a book club. I was led to, what was our first book? Good now, Indy. Wow, I see it in my head. Welcome to all new friends from Robin. Thank you, Robin. Where's my Kindle? It was a book on grief. I felt led to read that here, and then folks were like, what's the next book? Oh, thank you, Jen. Good now, beautiful souls. Good now, Britt. Good now, April. Something about wild. Yes, The Wild Edge of Sorrow. That was the book. I was like, why am I not remembering it? The Wild Edge of Sorrow. That's where we started. And we have gone through a couple books. Yes, go get some food. Good now, Rini. Thank you, Jamie. You said it before I could remember. It was like wild. It was a good book, though. We'll probably do it again. Welcome, Jen, and all who are new. Thank you, Pam. All right, we are at that mark, so I'm gonna just go ahead and get this party started. Good now, James. Nicole, and the rest of you wonderful souls. I love it. I know, right, Justin? What are you gonna eat? Okay. I just had muesli, so I kept it simple. All right. So we're gonna start first with the journaling, or what is the study guide from chapter 1. If anyone is here and would like to share any revelations from last week, did anyone work through the study guide from last week? If so, I'd love to hear your experience. What did you notice? What did you observe? And if not, then we'll just start reading chapter 2. If you are not here, I did put I'm so fired. I was supposed to put chapter 2 in here already. Give me 1 second. I did put the prompts in. Where did I put it? I put it in the Lettuce Fam doc. So I'm getting ready to show you the screen. And you can get to this document by going to my profile and clicking the About tab. And then, why is it not showing up on here? Huh. Interesting. Okay, well, let me bring it over here. It's not showing up in Safari, but it is showing up in Chrome. Okay, let me bring that screen up. Let's see. Yep, wrong. Here we go. All right, so this is the Lettuce Fam doc. You can get to it by going to my profile, clicking the About. Will do, John. Clicking the About and then clicking the link in my profile, and you can get these the prompts from chapter 1. And these are the exercises. It's a lot, that's why we didn't go over it on last Saturday. And then after we finish here, I will put chapter 2 because I was supposed to do that and I forgot. So we'll do that. I'll do that after we hang up the call today. Good now. Good now is actually a couple of things. Thank you, Pam. Yeah, I do. The good now way is a way of being. Good now is a pretty good pattern interrupt whenever you are in a state of fight or flight, or really just anything. I have a series of using good now, but basically as a greeting, it's saying this moment right here has permission to exist, and now brings you right here back in the present moment. So you can use it as a way to remember to be here now, and you can also use it, well, still a way to be here now, but like if you're in the middle of you're having a panic attack or you're anxious, if you can slow down enough to say good now, then it'll remind you to come back to the present moment. Because usually when you are anxious or any of that, you're not in the present moment. So that's really where that stems from. I think the Power of Now inspired it. Good now, Elena. But yeah, I've been saying it for a while, and it has grown a little bit in its purpose, but that is the main purpose, is to bring yourself back to the present moment. So I hope that answered your question, John. Is there anyone I did not say good now to? Did anyone have anything they want to share from last week, or are we just going to dive into chapter 2? Thank you. You're welcome. Good now, Michelle. I know, right? Good now, Solomon. Or if there are any particular, any one of these questions that you would like me to answer, I am happy to do that as well. The symbolism of the lettuce. I don't know if you've ever noticed, but I tend to have a lazy tongue. And what had happened was, ABC, when I used to meditate live on the tube before I joined IT, and I would always say, let us hop into meditation or let us meditate. And then one day I just listened to how I was saying it and I just started laughing because it sounded like I said lettuce, like the actual lettuce. It's supposed to be let us, but somehow the T kind of blended in with the U. And ever since then, so there were 3 people who were consistent with me on YT before I came over to IT, who have followed me to IT, which is nice. But they started putting lettuce in the chat. So every time right before it's time for us to meditate, they throw the lettuce in the chat, and I always say, thank you for getting your lettuce out, and let us meditate, or let us hop into meditation. So that is that. It has, people have looked it up, like the other symbolisms of it, and I was like, hey, that aligns, even though I didn't even mean it that way. Thank you, Jen. You'll hear me like catch stuff like that all the time. Good now, Vic. In the mornings, I read an affirmation card, and there are times where I'll say, I'll read the cardigan. I'm like, haha, cardigan. Let's get the sweater. Okay. Goofy, I know, but it's fun. All right. We are going to go ahead and jump into chapter 2. Good now, Solomon. I know. He's been popping up every now and then. It's always good to see Solomon. Okay, y'all ready for chapter 2? Thank you. I was like, you know what? I need to articulate my words. I even caught it like when I'm doing my my recordings for here. I'm like, open your mouth, Nick. It's a whole word. Okay. All right, so we're going to chapter 2. Me too. I do too, John. We're going to chapter 2. And then I will put the journaling exercise, study guide exercise, in the family member doc. And then if anything comes up from last week that you're like, hey, I did have a question, don't hesitate. Like this, there's no strict agenda to this. I do want to mention that next week I'll be at the retreat. So I scheduled this earlier, 2 hours earlier. So if you can't make it, it's okay. You know it's being recorded. But Hale was like, can we just do it there too? I'm like, okay, I'll see if we can make that work. So it'll be scheduled only for an hour and a half instead of 2 hours. Just so that we can get ready for the day's activities. All right, so karma. That is what we're reading about today. Chapter 2 is karma. Most of us are accustomed to the belief that our participation in the process of evolution is limited to the duration of a single lifetime. This belief reflects the perspective of the 5-sensory personality. From the point of view of the 5-sensory personality, nothing of itself lasts beyond its lifetime, and there is nothing in the experience of the 5-sensory human that is not of itself. If you're not quite tracking what 5-sensory, and he's going to say multi-sensory, that's in the first chapter. He explains what that is and what the difference is. So you could pop back there. And if it gets too confusing, like if you just can't follow because I'm using those terms, just let me know. Just raise your hand and I'll go back and explain to you the way he explained it. So that'll be more clear. Because it's nothing like reading something like I have no idea where you're coming from with any of this. I don't have any context. Good now, Amy. And Kimberly. Such a great smile, Kimberly. And Shauna too, by the way. Okay. The multisensory human, too, understands that nothing of itself lasts beyond its lifetime, but it is also aware of its immortal soul. The lifetime of your personality is one of a myriad of experiences of your soul. The soul exists outside of time. The perspective of the soul is immense, and the perception of the soul is without the limitations of the personality. Souls that have chosen the physical experience of life as we know it as a path of evolution have, in general, incarnated their energies many times into many psychological and physical forms. For each incarnation, the soul creates a different personality and body. The personality and the body that, for the five-sensory human, are the experiential entirety of its existence are, for its soul, the unique and perfectly suited instruments of a particular incarnation. Each personality contributes, in its own special way, with its own special aptitudes and lessons to learn, consciously or unconsciously, to the evolution of its soul. The life of a mother, a warrior, a daughter, a priest, the experiences of love, vulnerability, fear, loss, and tenderness, the struggles with anger, defiance, emptiness, and jealousy all serve the evolution of the soul. Each physical, emotional, and psychological characteristic that compromises a personality and its body, strong or weak arms, dense or penetrating intellect, happy or despairing disposition, yellow or black skin, even hair and eye color is perfectly suited to its soul's purpose. The five-sensory personality is not aware of the many other incarnations of its soul. A multisensory personality may be conscious of these incarnations or experience them as its own past or future lives. They are in its family of lives, so to speak, but they are not lives that it itself has lived. They are experiences of its soul. From the point of view of the soul, all of its incarnations are simultaneous. All of its personalities exist at once. Therefore, the release of negativity that occurs in one of the soul's incarnations benefits not only itself, but all of its soul's other incarnations also. Because the soul itself is not confined to time, the past of a personality, as well as its future, is enhanced when a personality releases currents of fear and doubt. As we shall see, the release of negativity by a personality benefits a great many other dynamics of consciousness as well. Some of these can be perceived by the five-sensory human, but appear to him or her neither as dynamics or of consciousness, nor as related to his or her inner processes, such as the consciousness and evolution of his or her sex, race, nation, and culture. Others extend far beyond the perceptual ability of the five-sensory human. A conscious lifetime, therefore, is a treasure beyond value. The personality and its body are artificial aspects of the soul. When they have served their functions, at the end of the soul's incarnation, the soul releases them. They come to an end, but the soul does not. After an incarnation, the soul returns to its immortal and timeless state. It returns once again to its natural state of compassion, clarity, and boundless love. This is the context in which our evolution occurs, the continual incarnation and reincarnation of the energy of the soul into the physical arena, into our earth school. Why does this happen? Why is it necessary even to speak of personalities and souls? The incarnation of a soul is a massive reduction of the power of the soul to a scale that is appropriate to a physical form. It is a reduction of an immortal life system into the framework of time and span of a few years. It is the reduction of a perceptual system that partakes simultaneously, through direct experiences of countless lifetimes, some of them physical and some of them non-physical, to the five physical senses. The soul chooses, voluntarily, to undertake this experience in order to heal. The personality in those parts of the soul that require healing, along with those parts of the soul, such as compassion and love, that the soul has lent to the process of healing in that lifetime. I feel like I didn't read that right, but the splintered aspects of the soul, the aspects that require healing, need to interact in physical matter so that each part of the splinteredness can become whole. The personality is like a complex mandala that is formed from the splintered parts in addition to the parts that are not splintered. It comes directly from the parts of the soul, of the soul that the soul has chosen to work on in this lifetime to heal that need to experience physical matter and those parts that the soul has given to the process of healing in which you are involved. Therefore, you can see within a person's personality the splintered suffering of the soul from which it was formed, as well as the grace that the soul has earned, which is the loving part of the personality. Consider how powerful the soul is if it can have a part of itself that experiences great love, a part of itself that experiences fear, a part of that is perhaps neutral, and a part that experiences schizophrenia, and a part that is dramatically compassionate. If any of these parts are incomplete, the personality that the soul forms will be out of harmony. The harmonious personality is one in which the soul flows easily through the parts of itself that is in touch with its physical incarnation. The soul is. It has no beginning and no end, but flows toward wholeness. The personality emerges as a natural force from the soul. It is as an energy tool that the soul adapts to function within the physical world. Each personality is unique because the configuration of energy of that soul formed it, and it's unique. It is unique. Anyone know which page? Let me see. The page on the document is called Seat of the Soul, I believe. Yeah. Look for Seat of the Soul. Yeah, if you click on, so look for Let Us Relate. After you click on the popple, look for Let Us Relate. And when you see that, that's the whole document, and then you can find the tab for Seat of the Soul. Let me know if you still have trouble. But on there, on the tab is just the study guide stuff. Perfect. And oh, by the way, Wendy, one of our beautiful teachers here, she gave me a PDF copy of the book. So if anyone wants a PDF copy, just let me know. I keep meaning to link it to the thing, but just let me know and I will send it to you. No issue. Good now, Carolyn, Sherry. Good now, loves. Okay. I gotta figure out what sentence I left off on. It is a product that is formed from the vibrational aspect of your name, the vibrational aspect of your relationship to planets at the time of your incarnation, and vibrational aspects of your energy environment, as well as from the splintered aspects of your soul that need to interact in physical matter in order to be brought into wholeness. The personality does not operate independently from the soul. To the extent... Awesome. Thank you, Sarah. To the extent that a person is in touch with spiritual depths, the personality is soothed because the energy of consciousness is focused on its energy core and not on its artificial facade, which is the personality. The personality sometimes appears as a force running rampant in the world with no attachment to the energy of its soul. This situation can be the origin of what we call an evil human being, and it can be the origin of a schizophrenic human being. It is the result of the personality being unable to find its reference point or connection to its mothership, which is its soul. The conflicts of a human's life are directly proportional to the distance at which an energy of a personality exists separately from the soul, and therefore, as we shall see, in an irresponsible position of creation. What a personality is in full balance, you cannot see where it ends and the soul begins. That is a human being, a whole human being. What is involved in the healing of a soul? Most of us are accustomed to the idea that we are responsible for some of our actions, but not all of them. We consider ourselves responsible, for example, for the good deed that brings our neighbor and us together, or for responding to it positively, but we do not consider ourselves responsible for the argument between us and our neighbor, or for responding to it negatively. We consider ourselves responsible for having a safe trip if we take time to check the condition of the car before starting, but if we speed around a car that, in our opinion, has been traveling too slowly and almost caused an accident by doing that, we consider the other driver to be responsible. If we feed and clothe ourselves through our successful business, we credit ourselves. If we feed and clothe ourselves by burglarizing apartments, we blame our difficult childhood. For many of us, being held responsible is equal to getting caught. A friend who returns each year to his native Italy told me, with a twinkle in his eye, of a dinner out with his family. When the bill came, my friend's father, who is fastidious, I love these words, fastidious, examined each scribbled item. After some study, he deciphered the last entry and recognized it to be a short expression that translates roughly, "If it goes, it goes." He called the waiter and asked, "What is this item?" The waiter shrugged. "It didn't go." Many of us feel that if a clerk gives us too much change and we take it, our life has been affected only to the extent that we have come into an unexpected gain. In fact, each of our acts affects us in far-reaching ways. Every action, thought, and feeling is motivated by an intention, and that intention is a cause that exists as one with an effect. If we participate in the cause, it is not possible for us to not participate in the effect. In this most profound way, we are held responsible for our every action, thought, and feeling, which is to say, for our every intention. We ourselves shall partake of the fruit of our every intention. It is, therefore, wise for us to become aware of the many intentions that inform our experience, to sort out which intentions produce which effects, and to choose our intentions according to the effects that we desire to produce. This is the way that we learned about physical reality as children, and that we refine our knowledge of it as adults. We learn that the effect of crying when we are hungry, and we repeat the cause that brings us the effect that we desire. We learn the effect of putting our finger in a light socket, and we do not repeat the cause that produces that effect. We also learn about intentions and their effect through our experience in physical reality, but learning that intentions produce specific effects and what those effects are proceeds slowly when our learning must be done solely through the density of physical matter. Anger, for example, causes distance and hostile interactions. If we must learn this solely through physical experience, we may have to experience 10 or 50 or 150 circumstances of distance from another and hostile interaction before we come to understand that is the orientation of anger on our part, the intention of hostility and distance, and not this particular action or that, which produces the effect that we do not want. This is predominantly the way a 5th-century human learns. The relationship of cause and effect within the domain of physical objects and phenomena reflects a dynamic that is not limited to physical reality. This is the dynamic of karma. Everything in the physical world, including each of us, is a small part of dynamics that are more extensive than a 5th-century human can perceive. The love, fear, compassion, and anger that you experience, for example, are only a small part of the love, fear, compassion, and anger of a larger energy system that you do not see. Within physical reality, the dynamic of karma is reflected by the third law of motion. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. In other words, the great law of karma that governs the balancing of energy within our evolutionary system is reflected within the domain of physical objects and phenomena by the last of three principles, 3 laws of motion that govern the balancing of energy within physical reality. Well, thank you for the hearts, loves. I appreciate that. The law of karma is an impersonal energetic dynamic. When its effects are personalized, that is, experienced from the point of view of the personality, they are experienced as a reversal in the direction, a coming back to the intender, of the energy of his or her intention. This is how the personality experiences the impersonal dynamic that is described by the third law as an equal and opposite reaction. The person who intends hatred for others experiences the intention of hatred from others. The person who intends love for others experiences the intention of love from others, and so forth. The Golden Rule is a behavioral guide that is based upon the dynamic of karma. A personalized statement of karma would be, you receive from the world what you give to the world. Karma is not a moral dynamic. Morality is a human creation. The universe does not judge. The law of karma governs the balancing of energy within our system of morality and within those of our neighbors. It serves humanity as an impersonal and universal teacher of responsibility. Every cause that has not yet produced its effect is an event that has not yet come to completion. It is an imbalance of energy that is in the process of becoming balanced. The balancing of energy does not always occur within the span of a single lifetime. The karma of your soul is created and balanced by the activities of its many personalities, including you. Often, a personality experiences effects that were created by other of its soul's personalities and, conversely, creates energy imbalances that are not able to right themselves within its own lifetime. Therefore, without knowledge of its soul, reincarnation, and karma, it is always possible for a personality to understand the significance or the meaning of the events of its life, or to understand the effects of its responses to them. It is not always possible. I was like, that didn't read right. So it's not always possible. If you don't understand about the soul, the reincarnation, and karma, then you may not understand the significance or meaning of the events of its life, of the personality's life, or understand the effects of its responses. For example, a personality that takes advantage of others creates an imbalance of energy that must be righted by the experience of being taken advantage of by others. If it cannot be accomplished within the lifetime of this personality, another of its soul's personalities will experience being taken advantage of by other people. If that personality does not understand that the experience of being taken advantage of by others is the effect of a previous cause, and that this experience is bringing to completion an impersonal process, it will react from a personal point of view rather than from the point of view of its soul. It may become angry, for example, or vengeful or depressed. It may lash out or grow cynical, or withdraw into sorrow. Each of these responses creates karma, another imbalance of energy, which, in turn, must be balanced. In this way, one karmic debt has been paid, so to speak, but another, or others, has been created. If a child dies early in its life, we do not know what agreement was made between that child's soul and the souls of its parents, or what healing was served by that experience. Although we are sympathetic to the anguish of the parents, we cannot judge this event. If we, or the parents of this child, do not understand the impersonal nature of the dynamic that is in motion, we may react with anger toward the universe, or toward each other, or with guilt if we feel that our actions were inadequate. All of these reactions create karma, and more lessons for the soul to learn. More karmic debts for the soul to pay appear. Yes, yep. If it's not yes, if the balancing does not happen in this lifetime, it will happen next lifetime, perhaps. So yeah, it is very deep. This is why I brought this up. I feel like it helps you not create more karmic debt. When you recognize that it's not a personal thing that's happening to you, it's just an energy that is being balanced or rebalanced, then whenever you're going through when life's, it'll be easier to just kind of look at it like, well, I guess this is balancing something out. Instead of beating yourself up or feeling guilty about something or getting angry at the universe or God or whatever. So that's why I wanted to introduce this, especially after the Letting Go book, because you're letting go of all these emotions that you're experiencing so you can elevate your consciousness. This is I feel like it's like one of the next steps to it, is understanding that what you're letting go is not even yours to hold on to begin with. So yeah. I've heard that the higher your conscious, the quicker you see the karma coming back. I have not heard that, but I wouldn't be surprised. That's interesting. I wonder what the difference would be. I feel like you have your awareness is so much more heightened when you have an elevated level of consciousness. Good now, Jeffrey. Who else has popped in? Good now, Leanne T. Good now, Champa. Good now, Chandra. Good now, love. Did I get everybody? Sarah, I didn't fully officially say good now to you. I thanked you for your comment in the chat. Good now, Aaron. Who else has popped in? Brandon, good now, love. Debbie, good now, love. Good now, Jackie. And then I'll get back into the book. Lynn. Is it Lynn? Lynn with the lotus? I think it's Lynn. Okay. Yil, good now to you. Cindy, good now to you as well. I think I got everybody. Marilyn, good now to you. Elena, I think I did say good now to you. If I missed you, please let me know in the chat so I can say good now. Okay. In order to become whole, the soul must balance its energy. It must experience the effects that it has caused. Remember, this is what the soul has caused, not what you in this moment or in your life has caused. So whenever this happened, the energy imbalances in the soul are the incomplete parts of the soul that form the personality. Personalities in interaction are souls that are seeking to heal. Whether an interaction between souls is healing or not depends on whether the personality involved can see beyond itself and that of the other personality to the interaction of their souls. This perception automatically draws forth compassion. Every experience and every interaction provides you with an opportunity to look from the point of view of your soul or from the point of view of your own personality. What does this mean in practical terms? How does a personality begin to look beyond itself and to see its soul in interaction with the souls of others? Since we cannot know what is being healed through each interaction, what karmic debts are coming to conclusion, we cannot judge what we see. For example, when we see a person sleeping in the gutter in the winter, we do not know what is being completed for that soul. We do not know whether that soul has engaged in cruelty in another lifetime and now has chosen to experience the same dynamic from an entirely different point of view as, for example, the recipient of charity. It is appropriate that we respond to his or her circumstance with compassion, but it is not appropriate to perceive it as unfair because it is not. There are personalities that are selfish and hostile and negative, but even in these cases, we cannot fully know the reasons why. These are hidden from view. That does not mean that we cannot recognize negativity when we see it, but we cannot judge it. That is not our place. If we intervene in an argument or break up a fight, it is not appropriate that we judge the participants. Of one thing we can be certain. A person that is engaging in violence is hurting deeply because a healthy and balanced soul is incapable of harming another. Indy says maybe your vibration is higher and therefore faster, so the energy coming back moves faster. I could see that because even when, for one, when you're vibrating that high, you tend to not, just like what we said here, you tend to be more balanced and whole, but usually your desires do come to fruition a lot quicker. So I could see how that could be, Indy. Thank you. I don't know how I missed that. Daphne, good now, love. You're in a training today, but wanted to say hello. Good. Oh, good. Thank you. Yes. Okay, send me. Good. Excellent. Perfect. Have a nice weekend too, Daphne. Let's see. Okay. When we judge, we create negative karma. Judgment is a function of the personality. When we say of another soul, she is worthy or he is not worthy, we create negative karma. When we say of an action, this is right or this is wrong or that is wrong, we create negative karma. This does not mean that we should not act appropriately to the circumstances in which we find ourselves. If our car is hit by another car, for example, and the driver of the other car is drunk, it is appropriate that the other driver be held responsible through the courts for the repair of our car. It is appropriate that he or she is prohibited from driving while intoxicated. It is not appropriate that we allow our actions to be motivated by feelings of indignation, righteousness, or victimization. These feelings are the result of judgments that we make about ourselves and the other person, assessments through which we see ourselves as superior to another being. Water break. If we act upon these feelings, not only do we increase the karmic obligations of our soul, but we are also not able to enter into these feelings and learn from them. Feelings, as we shall see, are the means through which we can discern the parts of ourselves that the soul seeks to heal, and through which we come to see the action of the soul in physical matter. The road to your soul is through your heart. If we are to engage the viewpoint of the soul, we must cease from judging even those events that appear to be unfathomable, such as the cruelty of an inquisition or a holocaust, the death of an infant, the prolonged agony of a death by cancer, or a life confined to a bed. We do not know what is being healed in these sufferings or the details of the energetic circumstances that is coming into balance. It is appropriate that we allow ourselves to feel the compassion that such circumstances call forth in us and to act upon it. But if we allow ourselves to judge these events and those who participate in them, we create negative karma that must be probably balanced. Be balanced, and we ourselves will be among those souls that choose to participate in circumstances that are necessary to that balancing. If we do not judge, how can there be justice? Gandhi was beaten several times during his life. Although on 2 occasions he nearly died, he refused to prosecute his attackers because he saw that they were doing what they thought was right. This position of non-judgmental acceptance was central in Gandhi's life. The Christ did not judge even those who spit in his face and who subjected him without mercy to his pain and humiliation. He asked forgiveness, not vengeance, for those who tortured him. Did neither Christ nor Gandhi know the meaning of justice? They knew non-judgmental justice. What is non-judgmental justice? Non-judgmental justice is a perception that allows you to see everything in life, but does not engage in your negative emotions. Non-judgmental justice relieves you of the self-appointed job of judge and jury because you know that everything is being seen, nothing escapes the law of karma, and this brings forth understanding and compassion. Non-judgmental justice is the freedom of seeing what you see and experiencing what you experience without responding negatively. It allows you to experience directly the unobstructed flow of the intelligence, radiance, and love of the universe of which our physical reality is a part. Non-judgmental justice flows naturally from understanding the soul and how it evolves. This, then, is the framework of our evolutionary process, the continual incarnation and reincarnation of the energy of the soul into physical reality for the purposes of healing and balancing its energy in accordance with the law of karma. Within this framework, we evolve as individuals and as a species through the cycle of being unempowered to becoming empowered, yet the experiences that we encounter in this process need not be the kind that we have encountered to now. That is chapter 2. Any thoughts? Any questions? Judging someone well does not seem like harmful. Being completely non-judgmental seems inhumane. People do this to make decisions. I appreciate that, Sarah. By judging, he's saying, like, that's great. That's not great. Like, we don't know. If you've heard that Chinese proverb, I can bring it up. But good now, CG. Judging and seeing a situation for what it is are two different things. Judging someone well. So who defines well? Like, if you're defining well, then you are saying that pretty much everything you define as well is well, but someone else may see it completely differently. So it's not, you can participate in activities without labeling it any well, good, bad, ugly, fair, not fair. And that's what he's trying to say. It's just you can be there. You can naturally have compassion if it calls forth that emotion. It doesn't mean be stoic at everything. You can still grieve. You can still experience the human emotions. But what you're not doing in that is, this is not fair, and you're still experiencing emotions. This is, why did this have to happen, or judging that in that way, saying that this shouldn't have happened. But like he said, nothing's unseen. The karmic debt is going to be balanced at some point in the soul's lifetime. That's not even that's just the soul doesn't have a lifetime, but in for the soul it'll be balanced. So he's not saying don't recognize experiences and don't experience your humanness, but what he is saying is don't to not be like, why, it's unfortunate. And I catch myself saying that's unfortunate, and then I also catch myself saying that's unfortunate, and I stop myself. Is it unfortunate? Is it fortunate? Who knows? We can't judge. We don't know what was agreed upon when that soul decided to come into this form. I hope that helps and makes sense. Making decisions is, you're not saying bad or good that situation is happening. You may be saying bad or good that this is better for me and what I am looking to do. That's two different forms of judgment. To decipher, you're judging an object or something or a circumstance that might be better for you, but you're not judging the circumstance itself. Sarah asks, how else can the societies regulate themselves? Can you explain more what that question means? Because there are some societies that have no prisons, no policemen, and everybody's living in harmony. And then there's here in the U.S. where there's a lot of chaos sometimes. But yeah, I really appreciate these questions. But can you explain more? Like, what do you mean? How can societies regulate themselves? Lori says, when there is so much corruption in our government, it's difficult not to be judgmental. I know. Every time as I'm reading this, I'm thinking about certain people who we would classify as evil. But if we do that, then we're judging. We're using our 5 personality aspect of ourselves instead of the multi-sensory personality aspect of ourselves. The mind seems to naturally judge all the time. What would be some practical ways to change this? Mindfulness, any meditations or experiences that help you transcend the mind actually helps to raise your level of consciousness. And the more your level of consciousness is raised, the more you're able to see. You're able to come from a place of observation and knowing that it's not a fault of someone. This is just an energy fulfilling itself and balancing itself. Because also, well, for one, at this point, like if judging is if it's creating more karmic debt for you, then it's just, in general, it's just not even your best interest to do it. But also, what was I going to say? If you think about it, when we're judging something like that, we're judging it based on our personality and how it is perceiving things in the moment. If we look at it from a soul perspective, like he mentioned, then you recognize that these are souls fulfilling something that they agreed upon before they even came here. The personality is unaware of it, especially if it's a 5-sensory personality. If it's a multi-sensory personality, you can actually approach a situation differently and help eliminate or erase karmic debt. But if you're looking at it as a personality to a personality, it just creates more karmic debt because you're taking things personally. People take things personally as opposed to recognizing that maybe this soul came here and this is what it needed to do to heal this part of themselves. Again, like he said, if someone did something wrong to you, you don't judge them, but they still should the consequences are still what they are. They should work through whatever it is that they're supposed to work through. Like justice from a moral standpoint will still be served. but you don't take the attack or the assault personally, as in they are doing that to you. It's like your soul called that in, so to speak. I know it's kind of hard to fathom, but it's like, this is what I came to heal, so I need to have this experience in order to heal this piece of me. Hard to fathom, I get it. But the more you raise your level of consciousness, the more you'll be able to see that and experience things from a different viewpoint. Okay. I hope that makes sense, Lori. The mind, yeah, and Indy, yeah. So the judging, I think I think if you think about judging versus just being discerning about things, I would say discernment is a form of judgment, but it's not the form of judgment he's talking about not doing. Judging a circumstance is the type of judgment he's talking about. Judging whether you should go here or there based on whatever knowledge you have, that is not the type of judging he's talking about. Understood, Sarah. Hold on, let me catch up. Where are those places? Need to see them. Need to see if they're adopting. Yeah, I'm trying to remember where, because I was reading something years ago, and they like closed their last prison, and nobody has been to prison since. I can't remember where it was. I would have to go look it up again. But I'm like, what are y'all doing differently that we can't seem to get? The great way is not difficult for those who have no preferences or judgments. Thank you. Thank you for that, soul. Sarah, I feel like this is an invitation for you to look at what you're fighting or what your resistance is. Not in a judgy way, but just to get curious. Like, because it feels like you're like, there's no way that this is possible, this is true. And that's fine. I'm not judging where anybody is, because that's not my place. I love the questions, and I love that you're asking, because I imagine there are other people who are thinking the same thing, and I would invite the same thing to everyone. Like, what about this is like kind of catching you, like, in a way of pushing back. I love when I get into those situations. They're not fun, but I also love when I get into those situations, because then I'm like, it'll point to something within me that is resisting. I don't know where the thumb up came from, but I would love to, like, that could be a whole deeper conversation. Question. That's a great question. I love your perspectives, Sarah. Jamie says, moving into a state of observation is helpful. We cannot like something and view it as not for me instead of it being bad. Yeah. Justin says, because I was just typing that some people have to work through these things to eventually reach that balancing of the scales. Yeah. And some are creating more karmic debt for their souls in this lifetime, unfortunately. As I was reading that, I was like, the ones that it seem to be creating more debt right now, I can't even imagine what their next soul is going to be like. So what is that incarnation going to look like? But then that would be me judging. Lori says, I'm incredibly sensitive to the pain of others, and living in Minneapolis, I've become exhausted watching others' actions affect those I love. I get that too, though, Lori. Yes, I do. Because I was that way for a long time. And then I asked, like, I cannot take ownership of something that I have no control over. If I had the ability to change the things, I would own it all the way. But the only thing, Sarah, I can do that is best for them is continue to raise my consciousness, because our consciousness, the collective consciousness, the government is pretty much a reflection of it. So this is why I'm trying to help everyone just become aware that they have more control internally than they realize. Because as more people wake up, as they call it, less will start happening. I mean, things will start to balance out more in a way that what we would consider better, for lack of a better word. But being in despair with other people keeps that energetic collective consciousness at a place that it'll keep attracting more of that energy. And so I'm not saying be happy and upbeat and joyful, but what I'm saying is keep that compassion without succumbing to the pain. Keep that love without succumbing to injustice that appear to be happening. From a human perspective, it is absolutely unjust. From a soul perspective, we have no idea what that's all about. It does feel, it can feel disconnected, or can feel, or seem, I should say. It can seem like you're being dismissive, but what you're doing is honoring this situation right now. You're doing the best you can by doing the best you can. I know it doesn't make it any easier. It still hurts. Like he said, he's like, if you're going to have emotions, you're going to have emotional experiences of things. It's just the matter of how you view the situations. Are you judging it saying that's not fair? Are you judging it saying that's bad? From a human perspective, yes. From a soul perspective, we don't know. And it's not an easy place to be, but you can actually get there. That's where the Buddha was. That's where Christ was. That's where Gandhi was. It looks like it's not fair. I get that. That's why I don't subject myself to the news. Unless there's something I know I can do about it. Otherwise, I would be depressed all the time, or scared all the time, or anxious. So I do the best I can do. And the best I can do is to help raise the collective consciousness right now. If I had the funds, the money, the influence to change all that, then that would be the best I can do. And I would do that. But I don't. And so keeping myself in despair only adds to the despair that's happening. That's just my perspective on it. Justin says it also doesn't mean inaction if you feel I lost it. Compelled to help, isn't that your soul working through that as well? Okay. It doesn't mean inaction. Can you re-ask that, Justin? I don't think I understand. Yeah, if you feel compelled to help, that's also, I feel like that's also part of what your soul came here to do. Like he talked about the person in the gutter. Like he's like, we don't know what the previous incarnation was like for that soul. He maybe came back to experience what it felt like to be, to receive from charity. Maybe the previous incarnation was them running a charity. I don't know. But that's the whole point of not judging, because we don't know. Let me see. No, I'm going to prison anymore. How's the crime in that area? Sorry, that was supposed to say no one going to prison anymore. I'm hoping the crime in that area is down to... From what I recall reading, yes, Akari. I have to find it. Because it was when I was watching TV, when I actually had TV. So that means that was probably over 20 years ago. I would have to do some research again for that. But I just remember, I was like, oh, wow. Like, and what do you do? What's different about that society versus here? It's probably not so much a capitalist society, for one thing, because prisons make money. So that's one of the circumstances that what's the word? It's like they find a reason to make someone need to go to prison because it's very profitable, unfortunately. See, look, that's judging. But yeah, it's definitely challenging. It's challenging for now. It's challenging until it's not. The more you evolve, the more you'll have a different perspective, different point of view. You'll be able to see more from an elevated point of view, so to speak. And not elevated as in anyone's less than or you're better than or anything like that. It's just a different level of consciousness sees different. This Maharishi always says, knowledge is structured in consciousness. Different levels of consciousness has the ability to have different levels of knowledge. Let's see. Sarah, are you talking about your history or history in general of the nation, the world? Because for sure that history is freaking it's been a tough thing to see, but look, I know I still have judgmental I have a tendency to judge, like, that's unfortunate, that's bad, that's sad, that's so I'm definitely not coming at this like, don't worry, you'll get there. I will say there are times where I can see when I'm able to experience what he was talking about, like the suffering of other people or seemingly suffering of other people, where I've been able to like take a bird's level view. But then there's other times where I'm like, this is so unfair. I'm so angry, I'm so mad, I'm so sad, or whatever. So I'm definitely not professing to be in that state of consciousness that knows how to detach in a loving way. Helen says, I'm confused. If I am in such physical pain because of my medical condition that I am rolled up in a ball in tears, that's because I don't have high enough consciousness and it's my own fault because of bad karma. My physical pain should just be suffered because past karma means I should be willing to just suffer it. What am I doing wrong here? They are closing prisons. Both the Netherlands and Finland, not all, but some. Thank you, Helen. I remember it being like somewhere over there, but I just didn't want to name something because I didn't want to give false information. And Helen, that is I would say one of the toughest things to kind of think about is like, oh, I'm suffering because there's something that this soul agreed to or whatever, and like that's not fair. According to the way he wrote this, there was probably something along those lines, like you're saying. I cannot say for sure why you are in so much pain or why you experience so much suffering in that way with medical conditions. But according to the way this reads, it sounds like your soul came here and took that on so that they can either heal something or balance out some energy or something, according to how that was written. And it's not asking you to be like, oh, I love this is great, I'm glad this is being balanced out through me. That is not even, I don't even think that's feasible to ask anyone of it. The best that you can do is recognize that this is what you're going through in this moment, without like hating your body or hating whatever, without being angry or sad or feeling like, why did this happen to me, per se. And I don't like to say just because it makes it like, why can't you just do that? So I don't like to say just, but doing your best to adopt the energy of, this is where I am and I'm gonna do my best right now with what I have to deal with. And that's how you clear karmic debt instead of create more karmic debt, according to this reading. I told y'all this is going to challenge your how you think and how you process. So I gave the warning for the book, because it's a mirror, and it'll force you to evaluate some thought process. It doesn't mean you'll always change it based on this, but it'll at least wake you up to a point where you're not blindly following what you subscribe to unconsciously as a child, so to speak. So, yeah. Let me see. I know I'm behind. CG says, I think in his claim, I lost it. Hold on. I think it's this claim that the soul chooses harmful situations. That's a challenge for people to digest. I get the pivot solutions, but it doesn't stop the fact that many struggles with this broad explanation of why people experience hardship. Hope that makes sense. It does. It does. And what I'm going to say is, one, he's writing to the masses, so I don't know that he can get very specific. I know that also that that concept of victimizing the victim is a touchy subject as well. And I forgot to say my disclaimer before we started reading, but this is here to help you. In my opinion, it gives you the opportunity to just question some of your beliefs and some of your thoughts. Whether you change them or not, that's different, but this just gives you the opportunity to live in a more conscious way, because at least okay, this is what I believe, this is what he's challenging my belief with, where am I? And at least you're at this point, if you find that part of what you believed, hey, that doesn't really fit anymore now that I think about it, that's pretty much what I want from this book. I'm not asking you to adopt these mentalities. My goal is to help people realize, where am I in my beliefs? Because if you're around people like-minded, I hear that all the time. I'm around like-minded people, but if you're around people who support where you are, great. However, it is helpful if you have the opportunity to be challenged where you are as well, so that you are living more consciously. So that's where I'm at with that book. Oh, thank you, John. I appreciate the donation. Akari says, what can you speak into addictions? What is it really? Is it karmic debt or... You're welcome, Lori. For addictions, for one thing, I don't believe that anything is solely anything, because we don't know, the personality experiences different things, and it's going to shape that person's experience of life. And some will not know what to do with what the experiences they have, and sometimes addictions give that person a sense of control over something, even though that is not the case, but it feels like that. So I don't know if it's necessarily karmic debt, or it may have started because of something that the energy was trying to balance out. But for us to try to figure that out, the best thing would be, how do I stop myself from doing this? What is the next best step I can take to not succumb to what I'm currently addicted to? Sometimes trying to figure out why something is, it just keeps you in a rabbit hole, and it can, this is just my personal experience, trying to find out the whys will keep you in the victim mode, because I spent much of my life in victim mentality. It can keep you in a victim mode, and it can slow down the progress of your soul's level of consciousness. That's my humble, unprofessional opinion. Yeah, that's all I got with that one. I hope that makes sense, Akari. Let me see. Not judging, it's the truth. Yeah. So let me see. Did I miss something else that Soul said? Hopefully not. Glasgow in Scotland is capitalist, but they focused on everything that socially that prevented the crimes happening in the first place. It really worked. Thank you, Helen. Thank you. Can we judge truth? I seem it as pure. Can't judge water. Yeah. If we're judging truth, then is it really truth? What we do know is gravity. We don't judge gravity. So if we're judging it, then it's probably something, a perspective from the personality as opposed from the soul. Just a thought that just came. I am definitely not professing to be like the person who could write this, and yeah, I haven't gotten there. But this will definitely like shake some things up. John says, Nicole, this so resonates with me. Please, PDF. Okay. Can you message me directly, John? I, as the teacher profile, cannot message anyone directly, but we can reply. So if you can message me directly, I'll definitely send it to you. Michelle says the Buddha taught about the differences between pain and suffering. Pain is inevitable in this life, but we control how much we suffer. Yeah. Yep. And also taught that a lot of suffering comes from I wish this was this, or I wish this wasn't that, as opposed to looking at this is what it is. What can I do from this point to make this the best of what it is to me or for me? Again, not going to say that's easy. I still have my moments as well. I am just as human as the rest of us. I think the difference is I can get to it is what it is quicker than I used to. It took me, before it would take me months to get to it is what it is. And now I can get to it usually within maybe an hour, half hour. Because one of the things I think about is like, how do I really want to feel in this moment? Do I want to keep feeling like shit, or do I want to rise above this? Sometimes I want to feel like shit. I'm enjoying this pity party. I think I will stay here a little bit longer. Thank you very much. Yeah. Okay. Akari says, so let go of judgment best I can to release pain, clear karmic debt. This is some great retraining of the mind. Right, Akari? I think so too. And I would, it takes conscious choice to do it. I wouldn't do it forcefully. I also want to encourage that once you recognize that you are doing it, that you give yourself grace. You're like, you caught yourself. Oh, I caught me. Let me just shift over here a little bit. Consciously choose your next thought, your next interaction. He kind of alluded to it, but we think the things that we do just affect us, or that it's really small, but it really does create ripples out into the atmosphere, even if we can't tell where it has affected or touched someone. All of our energy, it doesn't belong to just us. Once it's out, it's there, and it ripples. Okay. Is he treating the soul and personality separate? Yes. The soul is the unchanging, that is what you touch when you transcend the mind. That is soul. Big S self. That is the universal you. Personality is what was born in this lifetime. Once this lifetime is done for this personality, that soul has not changed. It's going to continue on. Does that make sense, Justin? I hope. Michelle says, to me, victimizing the victim robs them of their power. Victims, by definition, are the underdog, the one with less power. Victimizing someone robs them. So maybe a curious question would be, how can I help to empower this person in this moment? Yeah, that would be a good question. How can I help to empower? And sharing that this is part of karmic debt is not a way to do that. They are not in a position to hear or receive that in that moment. So you would know, like, it's circumstantial, of course. How can I help this person re-empower or create inner power is the next best movement. Not saying, this stuff is not good. I would not like to introduce this to anyone who is in a really who's going through a really hard time right now, because it wouldn't be received well. It wouldn't be received in a way that feels empowering to them. So it really, the state of mind as you go through this, it requires an elevated state of mind. I think there was a point during this book where I was like going through something myself, and I was like, I am not listening to that book right now. It's not helpful. But when you're in a place where you can think more rationally, be open to other perspectives, then this book can serve in that way. Be like, I didn't think about it that way. I wonder how does that impact how I interact with the world? How does that challenge how I think or how I've been acting? That's, to me, what this book is. Definitely not something for, you'll be all right, this is your soul just balancing itself out, girl. Yeah, don't do that. That, if I was that person, I'd be like, okay, you can, the door there. Let me just, I'll figure it out, because you are not helping. Yeah. Illness is difficult one to reason. I agree, Jamie. There is no one to blame. We're in the physical body. We are subject to pleasure and pain. Don't ask why me. It will keep you stuck as why not me ish happens. None of us are impervious to it. Speaking from my own experience. I know you are. Thank you. Yeah. Yep. Thank you. Yes. Let go of victim mentality or why syndrome. Yep. Thank you, John. Will do. I appreciate the comment from Michelle that pain is inevitable, but we control how much we suffer. Yep. Absolutely. Katie says, so this is what's difficult also. As much as I'm understanding that karmic energy carries into our lives, we humans still carry real life agency in our daily actions. We can also choose being with other people and connected with them. Our lives are real, and it matters whether or not we have community here on Earth now. We are seeing this now on a large scale in the U.S. Yep. Maine, Texas, Minnesota. Yep. Yeah. Agreed. Kari said, yes, be gentle, no forcing. So much better for transformation. Justin says, yes, it makes sense. Yep. Good now, Angela. Kari says, right, it doesn't help anyone to feel sorry for them. Raise the collective consciousness for us by remembering true love and do our best to flow in that direction. Choose love, choose peace. Yeah. It may feel like you're dismissing what someone's going through, but it's more helpful. Choose inner peace. It reminds me of, y'all, if y'all remember in that book, Letting Go, our last book. I'm gonna try to bring it up. Hopefully I can remember it. Like what keywords to search. Yep. Okay. All right. Okay. So here it goes. It starts here. It says the only drawback to these types of healings is that often the healing is sustained while in proximity to a person. Okay, so it says, well, you might think. So this is basically someone's like not doing well. You know how people will send prayers to them, send energy and light. And he goes, well, you might ask, if sending loving thoughts has a healing power, how come we see all the sick people in hospitals whose families are so solicitous? Why does the love of the family not heal the patient? And he says, the answer is to look at the kinds of thoughts that are being sent to the family, to the patient. As you examine them, you will find that they are primarily thoughts of anguish and fear, accompanied by guilt and ambivalence. We might picture love to be like the sunlight and negative thoughts to be like the clouds. Whereas our higher, greater self is like the sun, all the negative thoughts, doubts, fears, anger, and resentments that we hold dim the light of the sun. And finally, the light comes through only weakly. So, weakly as in weak, like not very strong. So if we have this fear lingering, the light of ourselves, the love, the inner peace that we actually are, does not come through as well. So that's another reason why it's very important. And it's not, you're not thinking thoughts that are like burying your head in the sand type things. You recognize what is actually happening, and you recognize that right now the only part that you can play is to try to help elevate that experience for people. At least that's my perspective on that. Amy says that's important. Pray the discernment to know when this other soul isn't helping. It's karma, not a great response. Right, yeah. What we receive ourselves, we receive for others. We really are one. We really are one. Yeah. Agreed. Any last thoughts? I will run through the study guide, but of course I will put them in the Let Us Fam doc. These are some things to consider. Here are more questions to ask yourself. If you feel reactions to any of them, such as becoming judgmental, dismissive, appreciative, amazed, or validated, make a note of these reactions. If you are in a group, share your answers and listen with openness to the experiences of fellow souls who share with you. Write your answers down so that you remember them. You may discover that some of them change over time. So I'll run through these. How many times this last week did you feel angry, resentful, betrayed, superior, inferior, etc., and acted on that emotion? Number 2, have you ever asked yourself, why me? Look at that. We were already talking about that. What did I do to deserve this? Write down some examples. I feel like we're either this is Akari. I feel like we're either seeing through the eyes of love, truth, forgiveness, eternity, or fear, the mind, the world. That can show us the state of our own mind, the world we see. It can, it does. It does. That is a true statement. How you see the world, it does show the state of your mind, your heart. And I get that experiences can create what you see, that experience that you see. And it would take some conscious effort to allow yourself to see differently. And it's not always easy because the ego's like, what? Was I wrong? Why are we changing things all of a sudden? Janice says, I've always blamed my mother for modeling submissiveness, but it's not my mother's fault that I'm submissive. My soul is working something out, right? I would say so, Janice. Yeah, I mean, it is that is what you were modeled. And as a kid, that's what you absorbed. And so it makes sense that you took it on into your adult life. However, by the time you're an adult, you actually have the ability to choose if that's how you want to be. It's just that most of us don't realize that we have a choice. That was me for a long time. I didn't realize that I could choose the state that I wanted to be in. But once you realize that, it's going to be a painful, not fun process. But on the other end of that, it's the sense of freedom and clarity and release is just, there's no words for it. So work through it. And then your soul's next incarnation, although it won't know it, but it'll love you for it. And then while you're here, you will love you for it as well. The blame didn't serve neither you or your mom. Angela says, I recently had to let go of another friend. She was one of those teaspoon people draining my sacred ocean. Every time she ignored my boundaries, she dipped in with her teaspoon. Not once, 20 to 30 times. I cannot control if she respects my boundaries, but I can choose whether or not I continue to participate. Yeah, very true. Very true. The third question, how many times have you felt hurt and wanted to hurt the person you felt was responsible? Almost kind of like what Janice said. Not that you want them to feel, not that you want your mom, but it's just like You made me this way. You made me feel this way. Would you have acted the same way if you knew that the cause of your hurt may have occurred centuries before you were born? I swear, that is really a hard position to accept. However, the interesting thing would be to explore it, experiment with that, experiment with the idea that what if this was not from this lifetime? What if this was before I even existed, and these are the energies balancing out? I would be curious to see how much more quickly you would get to a place of this is what it is right now, as opposed to why is this happening? It would be an interesting experiment. We may do that experiment one day. It's not going to be an easy one. Number 5, how do you feel about the possibility of consciously creating blissful experiences for yourself and for other personalities of your soul? I swear this guy is reading my mind. I have not gone through. I will be honest. I read the book, but I did not go through the study guide. So it's funny that we talk about stuff before we get to the question. Anyway, imagine how you could do this. Write all that comes to you and go back to it frequently. Choose what experiences you intend to bring into your life. Some exercises. A week of kindness. Go out of your way to see how you can be friendly and kind to people that you encounter during the week. Extend this kindness to people you talk to on the phone or email or write. Then notice how you feel and what effects you notice in your life. Share your experience with others, and if they are not also doing this exercise, invite them to join you and to share their experiences as you share yours. Exploring the golden rule. Remember a time when something happened to you that you were surprised and delighted about, for example, an unexpected gift or kindness. Ask yourself, have I ever surprised and delighted others in a similar way? Remember when something happened and you were shocked and hurt, for example, when you were betrayed or someone raged at you. Ask yourself, have I ever shocked and hurt others in a similar way? Have you considered that the things you are experiencing, joyful or painful, are consequences of choices you've made or that another personality of your soul has made? Pondering these questions will stimulate deeper connection and conversations with the people in your life. A karmic experience. Recall a time when you were aware that you were or might be having a karmic experience. An experience that you felt or sensed had to do with karma that you created or that had been created by another personality of your soul. How did it impact your life? It may be that you sensed that there was more to this experience, more happening than you could articulate. Explore this by yourself and or with others. Ask your intuition how knowing this can support you in your spiritual growth. If you have not had such an experience, imagine what one would feel like to you. So those are the exercises. I again will put them in the document, and I hope you have fun exploring them. That is difficult to know another personality of one's soul. Yeah. Yep. It is difficult. And you don't have to know it to recognize that this is a possibility. What I find myself trying to do, one, I'm like, thank you, previous incarnation, for some of the things that I have experienced. And then for things that I have experienced that I was like, this would have been great if I didn't have to experience it. I'm like, interesting at this point, well after it has happened and I've worked through all the things. But going forward, I'm like, I want my next incarnation to have as best a life as possible. And so I'm hoping that I create less energies that have to be rebalanced. I know that I'm not doing that 100%. I know that there are things that are creating karmic debt that I may have to have balanced out this lifetime or maybe the incarnation later on. But all we can do is the best we can do in any given moment. That's where I try to dwell. And of course, how do we judge best? So it's all of that. Let me see. Oop. I lost my mouse. Okay, here we go. John says, was in awe of my son who, while fighting fatal Hodgkin's lymphoma, would dismiss it and say, "It is what it is." Wow. Yeah. I feel like especially when it's a kid who is dealing with something that massive, they have a level of consciousness. Well, for one, I feel like we're born with that higher level of consciousness to a degree because we don't have all the stuff that is covering it, depending on what karma was brought forth. But I feel like when kids are dealing with that, because I hear stories like that all the time, they are more in a line with this is soul's purpose energy than the adults that are around them who are experiencing this pain and like, why is this happening? The kids are keeping everybody else up while they're suffering, or we appear to be suffering. We can't, well, they're not suffering, they're in pain, right? How you defined it, pain versus suffering. They're not suffering. They may be in pain, but they're not suffering because they're not choosing to suffer. Helen says, Jamie, you make a valid point. I am, however, not asking why not me. I believe our life lessons come from all sorts of experiences, and it really helps me to act and live more from my higher self because I learn to as a result of the ups and downs of life. What confuses me here is that the book is asking me to look at it as bad karma being rebalanced, and that view feels like I'm being asked to judge myself. Okay, got it. And that feels like an invitation to self-judgment and shaming. Got it. I don't think that's what it's saying, because even this pain that you're dealing with, Helen, isn't necessarily a rebalancing. Maybe that's something that because the other thing he says is you don't know what the soul came here to heal, like what aspect of their personality to heal. And I feel like you are actually healing whatever your soul came here to heal. You're healing through your ability to see this is where I am with things. You're healing with your ability to experience this pain in a way that you are not angry and bitter. So I don't believe that everything, like I don't think he's saying that everything we experience is a karmic debt type thing, because he also mentioned that we don't know what the soul came here to heal, what part of what's splintered in the personality that needed to be healed. At least that's my perspective on that. And I can see what you're saying about, yeah, I agree. If that's how we're going to approach it, I don't think that's what that was about, because that's really the antithesis of what he's trying to invite. I love that. Sarah says, Josh, your son sounds amazing. Justin says, I may not know the personality of my soul, but I do believe it is guiding me. I've said it before, I always come back to art and drawing, stories, and wanting to create. Yeah. John says, Sarah, he was. Thanks. Not a kid, 29, but still so inspiring. Gotcha. Thank you, John. Katie says, yes, what Helen said. I wonder if some people never get to be happy or loved at all. Again, karmic debt is confusing. It is confusing. And so and John's son is beautiful. What I want to invite, not trying to figure it out, have the thought in your mind in general, and there will be one day you'll be like, oh, that's what that meant. So right now it's such a new concept. Well, I'm not going to say such a new concept, but it may be something you had kind of in the back of your head, but not really thought about in this way. So this is just an invitation to explore or get curious about, like, I wonder what is that all about? That's interesting. I'm not saying subscribe to that thought process or anything like that. The goal is to just get you thinking. And I believe that you've been exposed to it here in this way. It's going to show itself again, and then at some point you're going to be like, oh, that's what that is. I know one of the things that we talked about in my master's program is, because we practice at that school, everybody learns transcendental meditation. And one of the things that they say is, don't try to explain your experience to someone who's not experienced it, because they may try to experience it without experiencing it correctly. They may try to make a mood of it. And it's because they don't understand what exactly you're saying. And I feel like this is kind of the same thing. Like he's explaining something to us that we just cannot fathom quite yet. And so we're just like, wait, what? But I think the more it comes up in different, it's going to come up in different forums. It's going to be like, you're going to hear it again in some other way, and it's going to kind of start spinning, and your consciousness is going to grow because of this. That's what happens when there's concepts that tend to be quite abstract and confusing. That was my whole master's degree program, consciousness and human potential. When I first started that, I'm like, what? My brain could not wrap. But then if I like review some of the stuff from the earlier material from the level of consciousness I am now, because I've been exposed to it for over 3 years, I see it in a whole different way. So this is just opening a door, opening a box for you to peek into, and for your consciousness to kind of mull around with. And at some point, it'll get to a place where you're like, got it. And it may not be this lifetime. It may be the next lifetime. But either way, once you get exposed to stuff like that, you can't be unexposed to it. The no one needs to explain your experience to folks. Get that? Yeah. Any other thoughts, comments? On a personal level, I understand being non-judgmental, but in the broader terms, I cannot see it. Broader as in not judging other people's experiences or what other people are doing to or getting experience from other people. Is that what you mean by broader experience, Sarah? Good now, Dr. V. Good now, Maria. Noni, good now, love. Who else has popped in? Robin R, good now. Jamie says, Helen, this is why I don't view it as bad karma. This brings in the concept of blame and the idea of what I did do wrong. This isn't helpful for me. It is what it is. The question and challenge becomes, how can I be okay with this? Yeah. Look at historic injustices. Okay. One question that comes to mind is, how does judging those situations serve anything? And some may think that judging it is a way of making sure you don't do it again. I would offer thinking, is it the judging or is it just observing what actually happened and working towards not being that way, or not creating circumstances that would have that happen. History may have judged, but those are humans judging. That's not karma judging. Good now, V. Not possible. History has judged. Because there's so many humans involved. Judging is a human personality thing. It's not a soul karma thing. According to how he explains it. And I kind of see that myself as well, just because I've studied consciousness for over 3 years. And I'm not saying it's an easy place to be. Yeah. Thank you for the hearts. It's definitely a balancing act. Yeah. Yeah, and it takes, thank you. It takes at this point it's like just back away from all of this so that you can absorb it and then maybe revisit it. Sarah, another Sarah. It is an attraction-based universe. Yeshua said to those who have, more will come. What helps me is to observe experiences as data, and I can calibrate myself. That's all we can change. Know is ourselves. Yeah. Thank you, Sarah. I know a lot of times there's someone in here who can say better what I've been trying to say. So y'all please do chime in. Yeah. Thank you, Sarah. Katie says, this where I am, Sarah, history. Not seeing it as judgment, but knowing and acknowledging it. Maybe I'm understanding this karmic lens because we create and affect history. Starting to want less of, if that's possible, interaction with society at the moment. Exhausted. Yeah. Thank you, Katie. Sarah, what says you? Sarah with the blue bubble. And anyone else? This is a forum for open discussion, not a forum for judgment or saying you have to be this way or that way. That's not me. Not many people will have this conversation. Most people don't have people in their lives that they can have this conversation with. So please use this space. Kari says, yes, everything that happens is neutral, not good or bad. It's an opportunity to learn something in a loving way. This circumstance doesn't have to bring up a feeling, but if it does, it's showing me something in me calling for love. How can I love right now, right here? Am I willing to look at this now? It's okay if not, but it's coming up to give me an opportunity to choose love and forgiveness. The more I choose this, the easier it gets. Agreed. Good conversation. Thank you, KD. It does. Can't judge water. Soul speaks truth. Oh, did I miss that one? Thank you, Jess. Oh, I did. Yeah, you can't judge water. You can't judge water. You could. This water is cold. This water is blah, blah, blah. But Sarah liked what you said, Akari. It is. And I'm telling you, it does. It does get, like, it's, and just like even what Sarah said, it's so hard to fathom because most of us weren't raised that way. So we're literally having to look at what we've always known and like flip it 180 degrees. Because I remember a friend of mine sent me something that is like the universe understands energy. It doesn't determine fair or not fair. That's what humans do. It's just like, oh, this energy matches this energy. Got it. That's what you want. And that's pretty much what they are trying to talk about when they're talking about manifesting as well. It's an energetic thing. Good morning. What would you say is the difference between consciousness and insight? That's a good question. Insight, in my opinion, comes from consciousness because consciousness is universal. It's the collective. It's everything connected. Insight comes from the collective consciousness and also lived experiences, in my opinion. Because there are some times where you like, I could not have known that. So that's, to me, coming from the mass connection that we have with the world. And then there's experiences that we've had that we may have forgotten about, but our body doesn't forget. So it can also play a role in that. And our previous lives, our previous incarnations, we have knowledge that we don't even realize we have or have tapped into. Does that answer? Did I understand your question correctly, Barbara? Akara says, retraining of the mind. Who's my teacher now? Love. Everything is love. I love it. Angela says, okay, thank you, Barbara. Angela says, right now, I'm honestly craving solitude, or at the least, intentionally choosing to only surround myself with those who align with my values and authentic self. I'm allowing my mud to settle, like after a snow globe has been shaken up. In my stillness, the chaos of my past is transforming into serenity. Is it wrong to withdraw like this at... No, it's not. Well, first of all, for it to be wrong, it would have to be judged. But truly, like, did we ever do your human design chart? I'm curious. But anyway, I think, didn't Jesus go into solitude? Didn't Buddha go into solitude as they were like figuring things out as well? I feel like solitude sometimes helps us recalibrate and really connect to our true self, and without the influences of other people's energy, like in proximity, in close proximity. So I think it's a great practice to sometimes just completely disconnect and just be. Just says gratitude for this and enjoying this book so far. Interesting post reading convos as well. I can tell this is definitely going to be a very heavily discussed book, but I gotta head out. I hope y'all have a great day and get closer to inner peace. Thank you, Justin. Soul says, love to experience my opening and witness the opening of others in your lives, Nicole. Thank you. Such beauty in our growth together. Absolutely. Angela said, yes, they did. Yep. Okay, cool. Helen says, yes, Jamie, I agree with you. Judgment doesn't help if it is blaming. I do think that understanding can lead to helping oneself and others, whereas judgment can become a barrier. Am I going to choose to not let the idea of, quote, bad karma become a thing I can't get past? I'm just going to let that go. Awesome. Solitude. Yep. Recalibrating, says KD, for sure. Kari says, yes, they did. Solitude is different than isolation. Absolutely. Sarah, I find solitude to be internally expansive. Yes. That's a beautiful way to put it too, Sarah. Thank you. Kari says, I would love to learn more about my human design. Okay, you can reach out to me directly. Thank you, Justin. Thank you for the donation. I appreciate that. I'm not going to claim to be an expert, but I do know a pretty good amount, and I can offer a lot of resources as well. Thank you, thank you. Any last thoughts, comments, questions? Happy to answer. And of course, I do have a group here on IT, so if anything comes, fears judgment is guilty. I like that. Yeah, if anything comes to mind, I do have a group here on IT. You're welcome to. We can start a thread there. I'm happy to respond as things come to my mind as well. Helen says, love that, Angela. Teaspoon people. That's a great description. Might need human design also. For sure, Katie. You know how to reach me. Love only judgment is judgment free, not guilty. Yes, love's judgment is free. Love doesn't judge. Sarah says, thank you for this engaging conversation. You're so welcome. I appreciate you. I appreciate all the questions, all the like, wait, what? What about this? And what about that? And I appreciate that y'all allow me to just share and express, knowing that like I am not the expert. But together we are growing into that. So thank you for being a part of this. Lori says, it was beautiful karmic moment. It is a beautiful karmic moment that happened on your live stream today. Thank you. You're so welcome. So welcome. Jess says, gratitude. Let us be at peace, whole, good, a lot of conversation. I'm glad. Akari says, yes, we are growing. Thank you. You're so welcome. Elena says, thank you very much. You're so welcome. Starting to pack today. You are, Angela. I'll probably start packing Tuesday. Got the retreat next week. So just as a reminder, we'll be 2 hours earlier on the reading next week, and we won't have the full 2 hour to be an hour and a half instead. We made it to an hour and 48 minutes today, so I think we can make the hour and a half. And of course, the following Saturday, if we need to talk a little bit more, we can. If we can take one principle from this chapter, what would it be, Nicole? It's a good question, Helen. I would say taking one principle from this chapter is, one, I'm always about curiosity. So go through and figure out where you feel some resistance against some of what's shared, and really get curious about where that's coming from. Principle wise, For me, principle wise is always curiosity. But let me think. Principle wise for this particular chapter, there's so many things that are coming to mind. My focus is always inner mastery, right? And so ownership, taking ownership of where you are and recognizing that there are more things at play than meets the eye, and using that knowledge to experience life in a whole different way. So that, I don't know if that's necessarily a principle, but that's kind of where I landed among all the million thoughts that went through my head. Anyone else have something they would like to share as one takeaway you would have for this chapter? Katie, Helen, thank you for your honesty today. Needed that resonance. Oh, Katie, you should. Helen is like, she is a beacon of light for sure. Lori says, I ask the universe to surprise me each morning when I wake up, and you are the surprise. Oh, I love that. Thank you, Lori. Oh, the retreat looks amazing, by the way. So glad I found you today. I'm so glad you did too, Sarah. Thank you. And other Sarah, be aware of one's judgments and be curious about them. Love that. Thank you, Sarah. That's a good principle. Helen says, oh, thank you, Katie. I feel so heard here. Thank you for the time and space you all have given me. Most appreciated. Always, always, love. I'm glad. You're so welcome. Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you all. I'm so lucky. I'm so lucky because I get to hang out with y'all. Y'all have no idea. Even when I'm like not on here and I think about y'all, I'm like, I'm so lucky. I feel so blessed. Thank you all for being here and showing up. Sarahs have been taught to share space since childhood. There's always more than one. Oh, you know what? That's such an interesting perspective of that. I love it. I think this is the first time I've had two Sarahs here, actually. 80s kids. Yeah, I love it. That makes sense. That's so funny how different eras have several, like, very common names throughout the different eras. I love it. Angela says, here's the whole stanza from my poem, The Mirage. Y'all, for the record, Angela her poetry is absolutely beautiful, but let me just read what she says. Today she chooses calm over confusion. She releases chaos distinguished as devotion. She lets go of those who come to her with teaspoons, crossing boundaries, slowly draining her sacred ocean. I love it. Akari says, you too, Nicole. So very grateful you're here. Thank you. Thank you. That was beautiful. I know, right? Right, Sarah? Angela's poetry, I'm waiting for her to get this book published that she doesn't know she's going to put together. But her poetry is a lot like that. It's like life lessons, deep things that people can relate to, and it just offers permission for loving yourself, basically. That's the majority of her poems, and they're beautiful. Even the ones that come out just raw, because she has shared like just like the raw before she like really goes through and makes it whatever, but just even a raw brain dump-ish, for lack of a better word, it comes out beautifully. Amazing. Wisdom, simplicity, complexity. Yes, Sarah, yes. V says, gorgeous, Angela, and right on time. Yes, thank you. Thank you. Yep, I agreed. I get to meet Angela next week for the first time in person. All right, my loves. Exciting, I know, right? I feel so blessed to have found this platform. Had I never gotten sick and had to isolate, I may have never been this involved in this space. I'll take that silver lining. Absolutely, Jamie, for sure. I am so, yes, please do, Angela. I am so glad that I got to meet you. Not necessarily the circumstances that led you here, but I'm glad they did lead you here. That's that whole, like, we can't judge good or bad, right? Y'all have heard the Chinese prophecy thingy, right? About the farmer. Have you? Because if not, I'll roughly tell the story real quick before we hang up. Y'all know what I'm talking about? Okay. I'm gonna find it so I don't butcher it too much. I have found that while I may be a good, it is, right, Akari? Storyteller, I'm not a good re-storyteller. Okay. Yeah, that one. I need the whole thing. Give me the whole thing. I don't want it on TikTok. Okay, here we go. I think I found one. Yep, okay, here we go. Double hugs for the rest of us, Angeli. Aww. Okay, so here's the story. The Chinese farmer story. Once upon a time, there was a Chinese farmer whose horse ran away. That evening, all of the neighbors came around to commiserate. They said, "We are so sorry to hear your horse has run away. This is most unfortunate." The farmer said, "Maybe." The next day, the horse came back, bringing 7 wild horses with it. And in the evening, everybody came back and said, "Oh, isn't that lucky? What a great turn of events. You now have 8 horses." The farmer said again, "Maybe." The following day, his son tried to break one of the horses, and while riding it, he was thrown and broke his leg. The neighbors then said, "Oh dear, that's too bad." And the farmer said, "Maybe." The next day, the conscription officers came around to conscript people into the army, and they rejected his son because he had a broken leg. Again, all the neighbors came around and said, "Isn't that great?" Again, he said, "Maybe." The whole process of nature is an integrated process of immense complexity, and it's really impossible to tell whether anything that happens in it is good or bad, because you never know what will be the consequence of the misfortune, or you never know what will be the consequence of the good fortune. That's basically what that is. I know, right? Let me see. And that's from Alan Watts. Yep. Right? That's that mentality. I learned that when I was going through the positive intelligence quotient certification program. He shared that story, and I think that was the first time I heard it, which was several years ago. So it took me 40 plus years to learn it, to hear that story. But yeah, yep. Sarah says, "Jamie, that sounds like this chapter's theme." Sarah. Yep. Awesome. Thank you all. Thank you again. Like, from the bottom of my heart. You know what? I kind of want to, like, where does that saying come from? You ever do that? You ever say something, you're like, where does that saying come from exactly? Like, what inspired that? But anyway, truly, from the depths of my heart, thank you. Love and light. Have a wonderful week. You too, Sarah. I will see you all next week. If you so choose to be here and be a little bit earlier, a lot of bit earlier. It's 2 hours earlier, so especially someone on the West Coast may or may not feel like, damn, hola, late. There's no such thing as late, Bea. Everyone, Bea's birthday was Wednesday, so if y'all want to send her a happy birthday this past week, you can real quick before we hang up. We love birthdays, so if I don't have your birthday on my calendar, feel free to let me know what your birthday is. I always post it in my group here on ITSA happy birthday, and if you're on a live with me on your birthday, you will hear happy birthday. So thank you all for loving on Bea. You're welcome. I don't think I have anyone else this week. I love it. Thank you. All right, beautiful souls. No. Love you too. All right. Thank you again. And I will see you around the app. Oh, tomorrow I do have my podcast, my monthly podcast. So if you're up at 10 a.m. Eastern, would love to have you join. One of my community members, Pam, some of you may know her. She'll be on the podcast tomorrow. She's a sweet lady. So if you're up, if you need something to do, come on over. I thought I had a button here, but who knows? I got a lot of stuff on here to push. But the easy way to find is to go to my my profile, click on events, and you will see it. Yeah, because I don't see it for some reason. Okay, well, there's that. Guess I didn't put it. You was in Wendy's live earlier with the watermelon, right? She had, yes, Pam from New York, April. And speaking of which, like the whole purpose of the podcast is called Tips Over Tea. I like to invite or welcome anyone who would like to be a guest. Anything that you've like worked through and have tips that you can share with people. It's really just a conversation. You see how this is how I have conversations. The same way we've been interacting here, you just will actually be seen instead of a little bubble at the bottom of the screen. You are welcome. I do have a link in my profile that has the application, for lack of a better word. And it just asks you simple things like, what would you like to talk about? What tips would you like to share? So if that is of interest to you, feel free. I have no other criteria other than that. Sharing something that could help someone create more inner mastery. So that's all I got for real this time. All right, loves. May you all create the most amazing now moments. Until I see you next time, make every moment count, because that's all we have is this now moment. You'd love to join one day? All right, Angela. All we have is this now moment. Jai Guru Dev. I will see you around the app, whether it's in my live or someone else's. Namaste. You too, John. Ciao for now. And anyone who caught the live on YouTube, thank you for being here. I'll see you next time.